So, if you break your pick off inside of a lock like this, then we gotta get a little bit more creative. So, what I have here are some pieces of a beverage can. We're gonna make ourselves some alternative lock picks. Now, if I have to explain to you how to cut a can up, I mean, you should probably ask a child to help you. But basically, cut up a can, you're gonna cut up some squares like this. You're gonna take it, you're gonna cut yourself a little T shape. Now this is not some perfect item that's going to work every time. It may take some trial and error, okay? So I would suggest practicing before you need to use it to make sure that you know what you're doing. But basically, you end up with something that looks like this. Now, this particular lock, not that you would know it when you're there, but if we take a second and open it, you can see on this lock, and a lot of locks nowadays, it has two locking grooves. So you may have seen videos like this online before where kids unlock combination locks or something, they only have one groove. If you only have one groove, then that's great. You only need one of these keys. But if you have a lock like this that has two grooves, then you're going to need two of these keys. And you're going to be doing twice the work. So, knowing this, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take the first key. And we're just going to work this metal down inside there. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to start on the outside. We're going to get it to conform around. And then basically dip down inside. See? So not so bad. And then we're going to take it and just twist the entire thing until we get it down into where that goes. Now that one should be released. Guess what? Now we're going to make another one. Now I would say you'd be lucky if you get more than one use out of one of these little keys that you make here. That's the only drawback. But if you're in the wasteland, tin cans should be aplenty. Just try looking on the side of the road for them. You probably won't even have to barter for them. I mean, they're basically junk. So, and however you do the folding is up to you. I'd suggest wearing gloves though, because this stuff does get sharp. And number 2. So, that looks way too long. Let's trim it down. There we go. That looks a little bit more reasonable. If you get too long, I mean, it's not going to fit in the damn lock. So I have the same problem with my wife, but flesh is a little bit more pliable. So now we're just going to get this one same way, deep down inside, and we're just going to twist it and use a rocking motion or whatever we got to do to get it in there. And ta-da! Pull your keys out. And there's your lock unlocked. You can see that the keys took a fair amount of damage getting them in there. In fact, that one's totally trashed. The metal piece is still inside here attached to the lock. But that's an alternative way to open these. Now, if you're doing this in your marshal or your GM or your storyteller or referee gives you shit, I mean, it may happen. It's unfortunate. I feel bad, but some LARPs may not allow this type of stuff. However, me personally, if I saw someone try to pick this with picks and fail, and then do that, or just come straight out of the gate doing that, I would have mad respect for them. Especially if it's a post-apocalyptic LARP, where you're more likely to have a tin can than you are fucking lockpicks. I would shake their hand when they were done, because that is fantastic. This will work on most locks. If you don't have a gap that you can get it down in, then you may not be able to. You may have to just pick it the old-fashioned way. Or if you have an in-game mechanic like a crowbar or blowtorch or something, or a hammer, or you can crush locks, with your hand or something, you may be able to do that instead if it really comes down to it. But that's one way to pick these difficult level locks. If you get it in one side and it's not working, then go ahead and get it in the other side. I would suggest not taking it out of the first side you tried, because if it turns out to be one of these two-ended locks, then you're going to need it in there anyhow. So rather than think, oh no, I must have put it in the wrong side, just leave it in there and then do the other side as well. So I would say every time you do this, unless you've seen the lock open, plan to make at least 2 of these keys. From a can, you ought to be able to make like 4 or 5 of them. I mean, if you're real good and you're conservative with how you're doing it, you might be able to get more than that out of it. But I usually get about 4, maybe 5, but I'm pretty liberal with how much of the metal I'm using. But that'll do it for you. So that is a much tougher level lock. And if any of you out there run games, I would suggest staying away from this stuff. I mean, basically, if you can't pick the lock, then why would you expect your players to be able to? But you can always throw it in, see how it works out. If you get grumps and gripes, pull the lock out. Don't leave it in there game after game. Take them out if people can't open them. But something like this, hey, there's no reason why someone shouldn't be able to open this if they're creative. But Max, what if my GM is a complete psychopath and wants to use something a little bit more period realistic in his game? Well, this is a late 1800s, early 1900s frame brand lock. Now, this is something I picked up at a yard sale. It's probably a railroad lock, and when I got it, it was covered in dirt and crust. I cleaned it up as best as I could. Now, this particular lock may have had a swing door on it at one point in time, but that's long gone. However, this lock, for whatever reason, appears to have already been modified, which is odd, and I wish I knew a little bit more about this lock, but it allows us to pick it much easier. Because without this, you'd have to have the key, which you're not going to have, or you'd have to have some hook type tools to be able to reach in here and just push all the pins up into place as you open it, which you're also not going to have at your LARP. And having the exact right size one, forget about it. So what we're going to use is this dental tool and this precision screwdriver, and we're going to basically just pick it one disc at a time or one pin at a time. We're going to use this as our tension bar, just like you would use tension on a normal lock. We're going to put this in that groove and push straight down on it. And then we're going to use this dental tool to push these discs that are in here up one at a time. If you listen for the clicks, you should be able to hear it. So the first one, one, two, three. So if it's all in place, your screwdriver should be stuck in place. And what that does is it opens this gateway here for this little brass pin inside to slide over and into place. So the only thing left to do is to take this, put it in this side of the lock, and then just slide that little brass pin over into place. and it will take the place of your screwdriver, basically. Well, that shot out of there, but it's open. So, tension on the disc to prevent them from falling back into place as you move them manually one at a time in here. And basically all I was doing is just sticking this in and just pushing them up. You'll be able to see them when they're in there. But that is opening, you know, a over 100-year-old lock using just a precision screwdriver and a dental tool. Now, more than likely, you're not going to see this stuff in your LARP. However, if you run across stuff like this, you're going to want to know how to defeat it. Now, if your GM throws something like this at you and there's no clear way of how to get into it, then you might need to have a talk with that person, because that lock is more than likely not going to work for your LARP. However, if you get your hands on one of these and you want to modify them as such, then go for it, because opening something like this, that would be a real curveball for a rogue and a lot of fun, I think. However, yes, these locks are worth, you know, some cash, so, you know, modifying them obviously is going to devalue them significantly, so that's up to you. But fun little thing to throw in there to confuse your rogues, and much more fun than throwing in like a master lock or something. So something to keep in mind. You need to be prepared for any situation that occurs when you're a rogue. And as always, if you like the video, please click the like button. If you're not already, subscribe. And until next time, adventure on. Good morrow, lords and ladies. Are you finding this topic particularly difficult to masturbate to? I understand completely. But allow me to entice you with some of the other video offerings that I have. They are sure to provide the correct incentive and vivid imagery that you require to complete your second favorite hobby after LARPing. Please subscribe using the link below and allow me to take you on a voyage of intense pleasure through LARPgasm, the finest, most debaucherous LARPing channel on YouTube. Subscribe now.